So, as our actors get set, Officer Gerard, as you know, she's our SRO here. Officer Gerard, wave. Officer Gerard. Officer Gerard, wave. There she is. Give her a round of applause, guys. Okay, she is instrumental in organizing this and coordinating our emergency services and our first responders. And, you know, we've been talking with them, and it was very special to them that we asked them and invited them back to do this. It's been a tough season for them in terms of the pandemic and, you know, being on the forefront of this pandemic. So as they come, you know, we want to make sure we're paying our respect and our homage to our first responders, and you know, give Officer Gerard a hand again for putting this together and coordinating this. Again, it's been a long time in the making. So, Officer Gerard, when you're ready.
Good morning, and welcome to the Driving While Intoxicated Motor Vehicle Crash. I'm Officer Suzanne Gerard, a police officer with Lawrence Township Police Department. I'm also your school resource officer. To assist me today with the event, we have Director of Emergency Management for Lawrence Township, Jack Oakley. He'll also be narrating with me, kind of letting you know what's going on out here. I know it's been a while since I've seen you, and I'm really happy to see a lot of your faces. I miss you guys. When we talk about driving while intoxicated, it's a very serious topic because 29 people die a day from driving while intoxicated. That's one person every 50 minutes. We've had discussions on driving safe and safe practices, and most of you have gone to driving schools, but when you drink and drive, none of that matters because now you're impaired. So everything you learn is no longer in play because now you're impaired and you're not thinking the way you normally would. With beautiful weather, proms, graduation, and parties and celebrations, there are so many things to distract you from making good decisions. So many things to tempt you from being responsible. Almost every spring, there's a high school student from somewhere in the country who does not make it to graduation because of a preventable traffic death. Please, let's not make this any of you. We're about to start with the event here today. We're going to give the fire department and the police a few more minutes to respond. They're on their way. I just want to keep it in mind that a lot of people have volunteered their time. All the firemen out here volunteered their time to be here to put this presentation on for you. We hope that everyone takes something away from this, helps you make good decisions not only prom night tonight, but every night of your life and every day. All right, we're going to give it a few minutes and we'll start up in a minute. Unfortunately, being a police officer, this kind of scene we see way too often. Where we get to a scene, these officers are now going to be responding. A lot of times it's dispatched as a motor vehicle crash, unknown injuries. When we get on scene, we never know what we're going to see. Right now we see two vehicles, looks like a head-on collision. We have one big party outside the vehicle. There's not much movement in the car. Police are usually the first ones on scene to these incidents. And when we get there, we have to immediately assess who can we work on, who can we help, who can we save, and who is just unfortunately not going to make it. Sometimes I've even been called to motor vehicle accident where it says minor injuries, and when I get out there, I have serious injuries, and I have to immediately change because on the way to the accident, we do prepare ourselves. We do start going through our head. What do I need to do? What do I need to grab when I get out of this car? I need to grab my CPR bag. What do I need to do? And then you get there, and it's a completely different event, a different accident than what was dispatched to us. As you can see, we have police responding now. by yourself until more officers arrive. Because of the seriousness of the accident, we do have fire responding, EMS. The police are on scene now. They're assessing the passengers and the drivers of the vehicle, trying to determine what happened. Why did this accident occur? Was there somebody intoxicated? Right now they're looking to see if there's any evidence in the vehicle that would show that somebody is impaired. Is there a cell phone there? Was somebody on their cell phone, or is somebody intoxicated? The fire department's arrived on scene. They see that the people inside the car are now stuck inside the car. The fire department quickly assesses that they do have to do an extrication.
Okay, what you want to pay attention to right now is what the fire department's doing. You got to think of these two cars as a can of tuna fish at home. You can't get into the tuna fish until you do what? Open it up, right? So when there's a crash, these two cars, the passenger compartments collapse over top of the occupants. When it collapses, that's why we have to do what we're doing right now. We have to stabilize the vehicles by putting wooden chocks and plastic chocks underneath the wheels so that they don't move. And then what we do is we put power tools in service. You may have heard of the jaws of life. You may have heard of something called an O-cutter. And that's what we use to basically dismantle the car so that the EMS personnel can get inside in order to take care of the victims. Sometimes this is very quick. Sometimes it's a long, extended process. And with multiple people trapped in the car, it's going to take a little bit of time. But we practice on this quite a bit, especially with the highways that we cover, with 295, Route 1. We're really not bad at doing this. So you'll see how quickly the fire department gets to the inside of the car and gets the people out. Oh, by the way, 47 years ago I sat where you were. Enjoy your prom.
As you can see, EMS is also on scene, but they can't even really tend to the patients until the fire department works quickly to get them out.
If you notice, the EMS personnel, what they're doing is they're securing the people inside the car. With a serious accident like this, the likelihood of traumatic injuries to your neck and spine are pretty likely. So they're immobilizing the victims by putting a neck collar around their neck so that they don't incur any more damage, which could lead to paralysis if it's that severe.
And as you can see, one of the victims they've already covered with a sheet. They've already determined that they cannot do anything to help that person.
They yelling, "Where's Justin with?" They were like, "Where's Justin with? Where's
Off to the right, EMS is working on one of the victims that was able to be removed from the vehicle. This is how the scene works. Everyone's working together to try and save lives. The police did get the driver of the red car out, and now they're interviewing him. They're trying to determine what occurred and why it occurred.
Okay, just pay attention to the EMTs and the police officer on the right-hand side of that maroon-looking car. All the patients that have been extricated from the vehicles are starting to get placed into the ambulance based on their injuries. And what they're doing right now is they have somebody in what they call traumatic arrest, cardiac arrest. That means that that person has died or is in the process of dying, and they're trying to resuscitate them by CPR.
Over to the right, the police have also seemed to determine that the driver of the red vehicle may have been impaired. He may have odor of alcohol coming from his breath. There may have been an open container in the vehicle. So now the police are going to start a series of sobriety tests to try and determine if that person is intoxicated, impaired in any way. Could you imagine being the driver of a vehicle that caused such an accident and that you made a bad decision? You decided to get in that vehicle and drive away after consuming alcohol or drugs. And now you're watching your friends being wheeled away on stretchers, and you're doing sobriety tests because you made a bad decision. You made a decision that's not going to only affect you for the rest of your life, but your friends also. Looks like they're going to have the driver do a heel-to-toe test where he's going to walk heel-to-toe for a specified amount of steps, turn, and then have to walk back. At the same time, more victims are being removed from the vehicle and tended to by EMS and police on scene.
Remember the person that we told you to watch because they were being resuscitated by CPR. CPR is actually a manual operation by the EMTs and the firefighters that have to do chest compressions themselves. That little machine that you see the person strapped to right there is called a Lucas system. That Lucas system automatically does CPR by itself so that the EMTs can treat additional injuries that a person may have. So that thing's automatic and just continues to compress the chest and have the heart pick up again and start to beat. Go ahead, up.
All occupants have been removed from the vehicle. Repeat, all occupants have been removed from the vehicle. B1 eject confirmed.
That's a confirmation of one fatality.
Confirmed, sir. Confirmed one fatality.
I received.
It's been determined that the driver was intoxicated and impaired. He is being placed in custody, and we already know that there was a fatality. All because of a bad decision, a decision that was made under the influence. Just think about that, one person every 50 minutes. It happens, it can happen to anyone. I think we're going to have one more speaker, somebody from Emergency Services.
Hi, everybody. Oh, that's loud. You guys hear me okay? All right. What did you think? Was it good? Not bad? Was it lifelike? Okay. All right, so I'm with Law and Touch BMS. My name is James Lopez. I'm an EMT. And the point that we're trying to make here is that if you have a couple of cars, multiple patients on an MVA, it takes really about 2 EMTs to work on one person who's critical, as you saw. That's why on an ambulance you have 2 EMTs. You have to work as partners to stabilize the patient, and then go to the hospital. One person drives, the other person tends to the patient. In an incident like this, with obviously more than one ambulance, this basically has become what we call an MCI, or a mass casualty incident, where we have a couple of people that are able to help. We have way more people who are critically injured. So in that instance, if somebody is dead or dying, we essentially can't help them, as you saw by putting the sheet over the driver, who, from what I understand, they said she was sober, right? She wasn't, whether she was drinking or not, but someone said she was sober. Regardless, it doesn't matter. If she's dying or dead, then we cannot help her move to the next critical patient. We can do CPR, we can take care of broken bones, abdominal injuries, but we only have 2 people. More will come from different counties, from different agencies, but there's going to be an obvious delay. So the more help we need, the longer it's going to take. In an incident like this, where there's 5 or 6 people that are injured, we're talking about a prolonged scene time, and essentially we'll be able to help ideally the most critical people, but beyond that, it's really up in the air for us. We have to do everything we can to help the most people as fastly as possible. We'll go to the trauma center where your parents will come and hopefully meet up with you. Anybody ever been in a car accident before? Like a bad one, a minor one? I've been in a few. Okay, it's not fun. When you go to the trauma center, it's way worse. All right, we do all kinds of weird stuff to you, all kinds of tests, CAT scan. It's just not a good scene. So, bottom line with what we're doing is just, again, trying to extricate work with the fire department. But in an incident like this, it's not great for us. We can only do so much before getting to the hospital. And the hard part about our job is we really have to pick and choose who gets helped and who doesn't. And sometimes we can't help everybody based on what we have as resources and however many patients there are and how critical they are. All right? So good luck, hope it all sinks in, and please don't drink and drive.
I want to thank everyone for your attention. And I want to thank all the fire department, the EMS, and the police that came out. A lot of people were here on their own time. They were volunteering to put this presentation on for you. I hope everyone is going to take something away from this and think about things before you make your decisions tonight and every day.
Thank you, Officer Gerard.
All right, so this is my first talk through a mask in my career, all right? So welcome. I didn't do this last year. It was the first year we didn't do it, unfortunately. So it's good to be back in Lawrence High. I do work right down the street at the trauma center. I've been here 13 years. I'm one of 7 of us that take care of the injured at Capitol. We do about 5 or 6 24-hour shifts a month, so we're always ready. So this is where I work. Mary Moore, she's here today. She's our program director. And Nancy Disselkamp and Stephanie, who's not on the slide yet, but she will be next year, are our injury prevention people. They're the ones who get us out to talk to you guys. So obviously, unfortunately, you guys make up a good portion of car accidents, a good portion of the distracted driver population, a good portion of the drunk driving population, unfortunately, and you're the newest drivers that we have. So it's like a perfect storm of inexperience and distraction. And distractions obviously come in many forms. Your phone, the radio, your friends, you're intoxicated. So they're the #1 teen killer, cars. 14.8% of deaths from motor vehicle crashes are teenagers between 15 and 20. Obviously, once you're past 20, you're not a teenager anymore. 31% have been drinking. 74% did not have their seatbelts on. So please wear your seatbelts. And 45% had someone else in the car. So obviously, these are all the distractions that can possibly be in your car. And obviously, all these things, this is just a slide to show you all these things and the amount that they reduce your ability to control your car and move around. And you need to be very concentrated when you're driving. I have 2 young drivers. My kids just graduated high school in the last couple years, so they make me nervous. My son has already been in a car accident, not driving. He was one of the 45% in the car. But it is very nerve-wracking. Obviously, your typical car crash picture, we need that just like you saw outside. This is where we work. This is right down the road. If you've driven down Brunswick Ave, you've all passed this. That's our roof. That's the helicopter. You people here, you're too close to get flown, so no helicopter rides for you. This is where you come, okay? This is a trauma bay. We have 2 beds, can be swung to 4. When you come in, a lot of chaos, okay? It's controlled, but it's totally chaotic. You come in on your backboard, you get met by a couple nurses, respiratory therapist, trauma surgeon, anesthesiologist, CRNA. There's like 8 of us in the room, so it's not very private. We cut your clothes off, all right? Everybody gets their clothes cut off. So all you guys, your tux deposits, gone, all right? All right, this is, I said this a couple years ago, probably not the right thing to say, but this is not the floor you want your dress or your tux on, all right? Sorry, it's not the floor, okay? You have to be, it's not very modest in the trauma bay, all right? You never want to be in the trauma bay, period. This is my old boss, Dr. D'Amelio. He's a lot older looking now. It's taken many years ago. So this is actually a good sign. What did that person have on? Their seatbelt. Yep, so although they had their seatbelt on, never take your seatbelt off, even to avoid this. I'd rather see this than have you dead. All right, we get a bunch of things we do to people. We put tubes in their nose. They keep their collar on. There's oxygen hanging around their face. They're all beat up. This is what it looks like after you've been intubated by the anesthesiologist. There's a tube in your airway. This is a chest tube coming out to drain blood or air from the chest. There's something wrong with this, right? It's going the wrong way, right? It's backwards. You don't want to be this. I don't need that x-ray much, do I? I know that something's wrong there. Now, when you're done in the trauma bay, you go several places. One is CAT scan, so we can see what's wrong with the inside. Now, this is the problem where I get choked up. This is Annie. This is the OR. She was one of our OR nurses. She worked in our OR for probably about 40 years. Whenever you get a job, and you'll learn over the next couple years, whenever you go to your first job or whatever, you're going to meet someone that's going to be like a parent to you. That's going to always make sure you're okay, no matter how old you are. I took my job at 38 years old when I came to Trent. Annie was probably my mom's age. Every time I needed something in the OR, Annie was there to get it. If I was operating for 6 hours and you came out and you were tired, Annie had a soda for you. Annie retired probably 7 years ago now, after working way too long into her adulthood, way too long. Annie was in Bucks County, Pennsylvania with her daughter and granddaughter in the car going to an intersection when she was struck by a drunk driver and killed. Within 3 months of her retirement. So, to me, this talk and this topic is very personal because of people like Annie. And I don't want to see, Annie's daughter being airlifted to Penn and CHOP and her daughter going to St. Mary's and then Annie dying. We don't want that, okay? So you can go to the OR and Annie and her colleagues will help us out and we'll fix you up. And then you go to the intensive care unit where you have all kinds of tubes and, stay on the breathing machine for a while. Obviously, when you're there, we got to talk to your parents. That's just always my biggest fear on a daily basis is talking to people's, not that I can't talk to people's families, but I hate to tell people's families bad news. Now, who wants to give bad news? No one likes to give bad news. Giving lots of bad news or serious of bad news sucks, okay? So you could prevent me from having an early stroke by never coming to see me, okay? I am the one doctor in the world that you never, ever, ever want to need, okay? You never want to need me, all right? Because I'm only there when something's gone wrong, okay? I've never met a patient that's having a good day, right? All my patients are having bad days. Whether it's their fault they're having a bad day or someone else's fault they're having a bad day, it's usually because someone did something stupid, okay? Probably 80% of my business would go away tomorrow if people stopped doing stupid things that they can control. The only thing that I'd be left with is octogenarians falling on the ground. Now that would be very boring for me just taking care of 80-year-old people that fell, but it would be a better place for you if you never saw me, okay? So if you could avoid me, you're doing good. If this is the only time you ever see me, you've succeeded in life, okay? No matter what anyone tells you, You've succeeded in life if you've never seen me, all right? Or any of my partners. I'm going to the floor. So remember, 1 out of 6 of you will be involved in a car accident. 6.8% of these patients will drive. If you pick up my high school yearbook, by the time I was out of college, 2 of my classmates were dead in alcohol-related fatalities by the time I graduated college. So don't want to be in those numbers. And I went to a high school that only had 125 kids in my graduating class. So 2 were dead by the end of college. So wear a seatbelt, don't drink and drive. Put your phone away, all right? Put your phone away. I have 2 children. I've driven with both of them. I constantly have to remind them still, and they know what their father does. They've come to the hospital when I've been on call. They've stood outside the trauma bay while I've worked on people. I still have to constantly remind them to put their phone down. My daughter's a lot better than my son. I'll say that. She's a better driver anyway. But you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to other drivers. This is the old door to the trauma bay. It's a lot nicer now. It doesn't look like this anymore. That's your picture. That's Normandy, unfortunately, but no one wants to be in a cemetery, right? And don't become a statistic. Just go out there and be successful, all right? Have fun tonight, all right? Have fun. As if it's tonight. Is it tonight? All right. Have fun tonight, all right? And thank you. All right. Here, they want me to tell you the stories. So I'm local. I live just north of here. I drive down 206 every day to work, okay? So I'm on the lookout. I watch, I make sure who's driving, right? Because I come in at school time. I always sit in the traffic at Notre Dame, unfortunately, right on 206. All those annoying people trying to get into the high school and that. So I was driving down 206 in front of the Lawrence PD. Someone came off 95 in front of me. They were weaving, and every time they weaved, I could see that the person driving was ducking down between the seats looking for something, like shuffling around, and they would come back up and they come over. So I followed them. I don't do this all the time. So I took their license plate down, and I followed them, and they turned into Notre Dame High School. So I was like, okay, fine. So knowing that we know some people there, I went back to work, and I had them call Notre Dame High School with the driver's license. Not that I'm a big narc. It's the only time I've ever really narked on anybody, but I did call. All right, because someone had to tell this person that they almost killed like 8 innocent people on their way to work, because every time they went down to pick something up, they were literally in oncoming traffic. So luckily there was none. But I'm watching, all right? I only go down 206 though, not Prince and Pike, so you guys should be a little bit better, all right? All right, so everybody have a good time tonight. Congratulations on graduating. Good luck in the future, and never see me, all right?
Show to love, show to love. You're graduating. That's it? All right, it's been a tough year. I got you. All right? But listen, I'm not going to give you my real Miss D talk until after this, because I literally had to practice it a couple of times. It's heartfelt. You're going to feel this one today. You're just going to feel this one today. But before that, I want to know, how's it feel to be back in your school? How's it feel? Like, do you feel like, wow, like, you know, it's been weird, right? It's been a while. Some of you guys, it's been a real long while that you've been back in school. So, you know what? You're here, and you got an opportunity to actually appreciate your senior year. For you guys that are seniors, you're all seniors in here. For you guys that are graduating this year, you have an opportunity to go to your prom. And think about that for a second. You know, when this year started, we were all thinking, what's gonna happen? Are we actually gonna have an opportunity to do anything to get you guys connected? You know, what I hope you do today is take this day. Your venue where your prom is absolutely gorgeous. It's a gorgeous place. Take pictures, but more importantly, I'm gonna challenge you guys on something. You know, we all stay in our cliques, but COVID did something, at least it did for me, and this was something I learned through COVID. I actually reconnected with a lot of my friends that I never really, you know, you get busy in life, and you know, you're working, and you're doing this, and you're doing that, and you kind of lose contact with people that you haven't seen in a long time. But what COVID did for me was we started doing Zoom, I'm old enough to say this, Zoom happy hours on Friday nights. So we were safe, we were in our homes, and we connected with some old friends. And it was really actually a lot of fun, you guys, a lot of fun. So tonight, you have an opportunity to see some old friends, some people that you're graduating with that, you know what, maybe you said hello in the hallway to, or you made a small, tiny little connection with. I challenge you tonight to dance with someone in your class that you haven't really known that much. To turn around and do a little grind. Oh, I don't know if you're allowed to do that tonight. I don't know if you're allowed to do that tonight. So, sorry, admin, I'm not sure. But you know what? Like, you know, get to know. Here comes me, he's gonna kick me off. Do me a favor, challenge yourself tonight to turn around and find someone that, you know, maybe you found attractive during the years, and you're on the dance floor with these people. Go have a dance with them, right? You have nothing to lose, and potentially everything to gain. You never know. Your love life can flourish this evening, right? So step out of your zone, step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Get to know each other a little. This is your time. This is your time. Your time to do and enjoy your night, but step out tiny little bit tonight, I challenge you. Just a little bit, and have a good time with the class that you're graduating with. Not the clique that you're graduating with, the class that you're graduating with. Because when I talk to you guys later, if you remember the first thing Ms. D talked to you guys about when we did my virtual conversations with you, it was about your story. You all have a story. You have lived through a pandemic. You have a story. Those stories are going to be told when you are older, and I'm not going to get too far into this because it really ties in to what I really want to talk to you guys about later. But your story should be fun, should be exciting. Tonight's story should be fun. Tonight's story, you should go out afterwards and hang out with your friends and be like, what's your name? Laura? Oh man, I turned around on the dance floor and I just started hitting it up with Laura. And you didn't even know Laura. But you know what? You're graduating with Laura. And you're graduating with Christian, and you're graduating with Bree, and you're graduating with Olivia, and you're graduating with all these people that you really maybe didn't even get to know. So get to know them tonight. You have nothing to lose by making it a special night for all of you. All right? Start your story. Tonight, start your story.
Thank you, Mrs. D. I'm gonna turn it over to Officer Gerard, and she's gonna transition us into the next phase of our presentation.
Events like what you saw outside happen way too often. In fact, this year alone in New Jersey, there have been 229 traffic fatalities. That's so far this year. Look around, that's all of us. Imagine, just since you came back from winter break, that's over 200 times police officers have gone to someone's home or work to tell them that a loved one has died. I've done it before. I've done it too many times, and it's terrible. Could you imagine being the police officer and the family that I have to go tell a family that a loved one has died in a motor vehicle crash? And when I get there, sometimes they're there alone. They don't have other family there, somebody to comfort them. It's something police officers, we don't look for, we don't want to do it. It's part of our job, unfortunately. We have to. We have to be the one. And Dr. Quinlan, being a doctor, I'm sure he's had his fair share also. And when things can be prevented, especially driving while intoxicated, this is why we do this. We want you guys to realize that things like this happen, and we want you to make good decisions. But I'm not just talking about dying. Think about being in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. You got into a car, your friend was intoxicated, you get into the car, think, oh, it's fine, and you end up after that night never being able to walk again because you got into a car with somebody who was intoxicated. You have to think about things. You're entering into the world, you're graduating high school, it's supposed to be fun, but you have to be responsible. Being confined to a bed or having a traumatic brain injury, if you don't wear your seatbelt, you go through the windshield, forget about your plans for the future. And I'm not just talking about driving while intoxicated. It's also marijuana, and I know marijuana right now is a big topic in the state of New Jersey. But it's pills and other intoxicants. It's driving while texting, failing to wear your seatbelt, going too fast. It's all stuff that you are in control of, things that you can prevent. Okay, can we stop side conversations over here? This is a serious presentation here, and we do want you all to take something away from this today. And being a teen, 8 teenagers die every day in DWI crashes. The risk of being in a crash is greater for teens than any other drivers on the road. Okay, so think about that. Think about that and make it change. Okay, think about that tonight. And like I said, not only tonight, but every night and day here on after. Think about your decisions. Our crash outside was the end of things for one classmate, but for another, it's just the difficult beginning. Okay, in a few moments, we're going to have the judge here, and you're going to see what happens from here on out as, unfortunately, the roller coaster begins for the person that was driving that vehicle intoxicated. They made a decision to get behind the wheel while they were intoxicated. There was a fatality. Somebody did pass away, and multiple others were injured. And that's something they got to live with for the rest of their life. How would that affect you? Is that something anyone here wants to live with? Knowing that you injured, they're probably all friends in the one car, and the other car, somebody died. So every decision we make, you have to make sure that you think about it. I always say this, and I say it all the time, and I've said it to many people here. If you have to think twice about something, you don't do it. That's when you stop and say, you know what? It's a bad idea. And I know that all of your parents out there, I'm sure most of your parents have said to you, and your friends' parents, listen, if you go out and you did have a drink, call me. Because I know I have 3 kids. I have 3 boys. And they're still young. I just have, my oldest son's graduating 8th grade. But every parent out there, rather than you get behind the wheel, every one of us would come and pick you up. We would rather you be home safe than make a poor decision. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the courtroom where your classmate is going to be arraigned by our judge, Brian Duff. The consequences of irresponsible driving can cost your freedom and your financial well-being.
Officer Burns, please bring the defendant before the court. Thank you, officer. Lawrence Township Municipal Court is now in session. I have placed before me a number of charges in the matter of State versus Jack Constantino. Mr. Constantino, my job right now is to arraign you on all the charges pending against you. I'm going to inform you of what those charges are and potential penalties. I'm going to instruct you not to speak unless you're spoken to. The information I have before me is that there is one charge, one count of death by auto, where an actor causes death recklessly while driving a vehicle while under the influence of alcohol. It's my understanding that this also occurred within 1,000 feet of a school, so this would be a school zone offense. Is that correct, Officer Burns? That would be a first-degree offense in the state of New Jersey. Mr. Constantino, if you're convicted of this charge, you face between 10 and 20 years in prison. There is a presumption of incarceration. I understand that there are also 4 other individuals who are alleged to have been injured as a result of this accident. Is that correct, Officer Burns? All right. Mr. Constantino, in the state of New Jersey, you're charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault by auto. Actor drives a vehicle in violation of our driving while intoxicated law. It's 39:4-50 within 1,000 feet of a school zone. That makes it a second-degree offense. My understanding is that the allegation is there are serious bodily injury. Is that correct, Officer Burns? Okay. Second-degree offense, if convicted, Mr. Constantino carries with it a likelihood of imprisonment of 5 to 10 years in prison. There's also a presumption of incarceration. Those are the 5 indictable offenses pending against you. This court does not have jurisdiction on those offenses. I will enter not guilty pleas on your behalf. Mr. Constantino, you have decided to allegedly engage in conduct that, while indictable, are first and second degree charges in the state of New Jersey. A couple years ago, New Jersey did away with cash bail. So no matter how much money you or your family may have, that's not going to matter with regard to whether you are released pending your trial. Our court requires me to conduct a public safety assessment. There are safety risk factors that I'm required to consider in order to determine whether you will be released pending this trial on these charges. One of the first things to consider is the age at the time of the alleged offense. My understanding is that you're under 20 years of age. Those points on the PSA count against you, son. Your charges are all on the list of New Jersey's violent offenses. There are 5 pending charges against you. While you have, as far as I'm informed, no prior offenses, you don't appear to be a flight risk. You are a resident and a longtime resident of this town and this county. In aiding up the public safety assessment and risk factors, I have no option but to remand you to the Mercer County Jail, also known as the workhouse, pending trial on these charges. You do have the right to counsel. If you can't afford counsel, one will be afforded to you. You have the right to remain silent. I urge you to consider exercising that right, Mr. Constantino. You will have the right to have a review of my remand of you to the county jail. That could take between 72 hours and 1 week, in which time you will be waiting in the county jail pending that review hearing. There are also some non-indictable charges about which I must inform you, as well as the penalties. My understanding is you've been charged with violation of NJSA 39:4-50, most commonly known as driving while intoxicated. You're under the age of 21. In New Jersey, any blood alcohol content, concentration, when you're under the age of 21, quiet please in the courtroom, carries with it a penalty if convicted. My understanding is, based on the severity of the nature of the accident and some of the field sobriety tests, it's likely that your blood alcohol readings would put you into the adult range. If convicted of a first offense, you're looking at 7 months to a year of driver's license suspension. This court has the ability to give you up to 30 days in prison for that, depending on that severity as well. 12 to 48 hours in the Intoxicated Driver Resource Center. If your BAC is over .15, when you get your license privileges back, you'll have an ignition interlock device during 6 months plus following restoration. That means you'll have to blow into the device. If there's any detection of alcohol, you won't be able to start your vehicle, Mr. Constantino. It's my understanding that is the nature of the charges pending against you. You are remanded to the Mercer County Workhouse at this time. Officer Burns, would you please take the defendant with you and on the way to the workhouse? Hey, good morning, class of 2021. How are you? Hey, I'm Brian Duff. I live here. I live in Lawrence. I have 2 kids that grew up here in Lawrence. You guys are in the classes between my 2, Abby and Nate. I have coached some of you in baseball, softball, soccer, basketball. Pretty sure those are all the sports I've coached in this town. Welcome. You guys have got through a challenging set of 4 years. This is a great, fun time for you in the next couple of days, this upcoming weeks in summer. You've had a lot of information thrown your way today. There are a lot of things that we just discussed here on this stage with regard to the legal requirements, where it doesn't matter how good of a person you are leading up to one moment of bad judgment, where the court system, lawyers, I'm a lawyer, I represent people who get charged with those offenses. I'm a lawyer who represents people who are egregiously injured by people who are charged by those offenses. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter how good of a person you may happen to be, if you happen to make that bad judgment, there's very, very few parameters for flexibility with some of these charges and offenses. Was the trauma surgeon here? Yes. Oh, wonderful. Dr. Quinlan's phenomenal. He has treated and saved the lives of a number of my clients who have been in bad accidents, whether related to drinking and driving or not. The video over the past few years has been very compelling. These are all real things that happen. It's really our hope for you. Certainly me, as a parent of people who are your age, who lives in this town, who has seen many of you guys and your siblings grow, enjoy these next couple weeks. Enjoy prom. Enjoy graduation. You've earned it. You've worked hard. You know, some would argue that you and some of your other grades have worked even harder in light of what we've gone through over the past year and a half. And you're to be commended for it. And there are a number of really good ways to enjoy that, to celebrate that, to move on to the next stage of your lives, whatever it may be, whether it be college, military, working, taking a year to figure everything out. I'm not here to lecture you anymore. I'm telling you, please, just hopefully you take something away from what we talked about. I know a number of you. I don't want to see any bad articles in the newspaper. I enjoy reading in the Lawrence Gazette and anything else that we have in the Trentonian and Trenton Times, seeing how all you guys have done, seeing how graduation went, seeing pictures of graduation. I'm excited to see that there's going to be some things we'll be able to see this year with regard to graduation. I'll keep you guys in my thoughts, in my hopes for you is that I don't see any bad articles, horrific articles about what could possibly happen from just a bad decision made by really, really good people. So I wish you good luck. Enjoy yourselves. I know they let you guys skip out relatively early after this proceeding. So please enjoy yourselves. Make some smart decisions. There's tons of fun you can have without making any bad decisions. I'll turn it over to the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Gruff. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to come and do this and speak with our kids. So, Mrs. Welsh.
I went to a party last night, Mom, and I remember what you said. You told me not to drink, Mom, so I drank soda instead. I felt really proud inside, Mom, even though others told me I should. I know I did the right thing, Mom, because you're always right. Now the party's finally ending, and everyone's driving out of sight. As I got into my car, I knew I'd make it home in one piece, because of the way you raised me, Mom. So responsible and sweet. I started to drive away, Mom, but as I pulled out into the road, the other car didn't see me, Mom, and hit me like a load. As I'm lying on the pavement, I hear the police officer say, "The other guy's drunk, Mom, but I'm the one who has to pay." I'm lying here dying, Mom, and I wish you'd get here soon. How could this happen to me, Mom? My life just burst like a balloon. And there's blood all around me now, and most of it's mine. And I hear the medics say that I'm gonna die in a short time. I just wanted to tell you that I swear I didn't drink. It was the others, Mom. The others didn't think. He's probably coming from the same party as I. The only difference is he drank, and now I will die. Why do people drink, Mom? It can ruin your whole life. I'm feeling stabbing pain now, and it hurts just like a knife. The other guy's walking, Mom, and I don't think it's fair that I'm lying here dying and all he can do is stare. Tell my brother not to cry, and tell Daddy to be brave. And when I go to heaven, put loving daughter on my grave. I just wish someone had told him not to drink and drive. Because if someone had told him, then maybe I would still be alive. And my breath's feeling short now, Mom, and I'm feeling really scared. Please don't cry for me, Mom, because when I needed you, you were always there. I just have one last question before I say goodbye. If I didn't drink and drive, then why do I have to die? With that, I say my final words to you. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so as we start transitioning, I'm going to call up Mrs. D to give her last message to you guys. Ms. D, you could use this mic. She has a message for you. And again, today is all about not having this happen. That's what today is about. Mr. Adam and the admin team, we put our weekends on pause. We can't wait to get back to school on Monday and make sure that we're not coming back into any bad news. So, shh. That's what today is about. Today is about making sure that this doesn't happen. So, Ms. D, if you could take it from here.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I'm distancing for you guys because I'm gonna keep my mask up here if that's okay. You know, I practiced this one, and I never practice. When Ms. D does her presentations and does her thing, I don't really practice because I always come from my heart. And today it's coming from my heart, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me. What I want to do is share with you guys that you have opportunities at your fingertips today. You have an opportunity tonight to have a really wonderful time. How many of you guys are going to post-prom places? Seaside, Poconos, anywhere? Is anybody going anywhere? Okay, so if some of you are, some of you aren't, some of you guys may be going back to your homes and hopefully having a nice, a nice house party for yourselves and things of that nature. If not, just celebrate your lives tonight and have a really good time. This is a pretty serious conversation to have, and I will tell you that if you didn't see it on the news, that there were 3 students that were killed in Pennsylvania right after their prom. They were killed in a car crash. So it's right across the bridge that this happened this year. And I don't know about any of you guys, but there are so many ways that you can avoid all of this from happening to you. And I'm going to give you the tips of the trade for any of you moving forward and having your time to have a good time, but you've got to be responsible. Responsible means if you make the conscious choice to drink, and you think that a party down the street, which is about a mile up the road, is a place you want to attend, there is absolutely, positively no reason in the world that you can't get an Uber with 4 of your friends and get you to a place safely. Today, you folks have so many opportunities at your fingertips. There truly should be no excuse whatsoever for any drunk driving situations to happen in this country. Uber takes you to where you need to go. If you got a couple of bucks in your pocket, you take 4 of your buddies, you get in the Uber, and you go and make it safely to the destination that you choose to go to, and you take the Uber back. The problem is if you're drinking, your decision making gets kind of altered in a lot of different ways. And when you drink, your decisions aren't necessarily yours. It is the alcohol talking to you. It sometimes convinces you that you could get behind the wheel of a car. Well, if you add marijuana to that mix, it also increases your risk of making a really poor choice. So number 1, if you are choosing to go anywhere and you make the conscious choice, it's not a right, you guys aren't 21. If you make a choice to drink alcohol and or if you are doing other things, you take an Uber. There is no reason why you cannot do that. No one should be behind the wheel of a car. No one. Drunk driving should disappear in this country because there's so many opportunities for you guys to take advantage of. Number 1. Number 2, if you choose to go out and make the conscious choice to engage in drinking and or, other things, you take care of each other. One thing I will say about Lawrence High School kids, and I talk to my friends about this all the time. They're like, and they're blowing smoke up your butt. I'm like, no, they're not. Most often when I hear that most of you guys, if some of you guys are going away for a weekend with your friends, that you're actually pretty responsible in your homes. You have designated people in the houses to make sure people are okay. So you take care of each other, which is a wonderful thing to do. Take care of each other. If you see someone that is truly intoxicated and they are in a space where they are vomiting, you do not leave them alone. You take care of them. And if you're fearful of doing something about it, when they're clammy and they're having a hard time breathing and they're not really responding to you, you pick up the phone, you call 911, no one gets in trouble. We have a Good Samaritan law in New Jersey that will say you are not getting in trouble because you are saving the life of your friend. So you know that. The other thing I want you guys to hear me say is that some people think that it's okay to drink and do Xanax. So help me God. If I find out that there is a party and somebody is drinking and popping Xans, you'll see my face at your door. And you won't want to see Miss D's Italian side come out. I'll find you. I'm Italian. I got some hookups. And here's why I say this. Here's why I say this. Because y'all think it's okay to be doing some of these things. Alcohol and Xanax does not mix. It can kill you. And now here's the hard part for Misty to talk about. I lost 3 kids this year. 3 kids that I knew really, really well, that sat in my office and cried and celebrated and got through as best they could here. And I swore that I would never think to see the day that I would lose one of my own, and you're mine. You see all these adults in this room? They all love you. We're not just teachers and counselors, and we really care about you guys. And I'm still having a really hard time wrapping my head around the fact that there were 3 beautiful souls in my life that left way too soon. Way too soon. It doesn't need to matter how. It just you need to know that it's really hard for us when we lose one of ours. And guys, there is no reason whatsoever that should happen to any of you. Any of you. Because you have the right to make a better choice. I'll tell you what, God forbid, if I lose another one, Miss D's gonna need to go somewhere. Because I had to go through some counseling for myself. Because it hurts to lose people that you really put a lot of time and energy in because you care about them. You care about them with your heart and your soul. And every single adult in this room feels the same way about you. You may not think it, or you may think it's just this, that's their job. No, we came into this profession because we care about you with our heart and our souls. And we do these things for you. You can blow it off. You all have choices. You can blow this off. It's okay. Blow it off. You think you're too good or too cool to listen to people who really care about you? That's your choice. That's your choice. But I will tell you, tonight, make it an event that you are excited about. Remember your stories. Sorry, a story that, excuse my French, I gotta go a little real with these guys. You know, going home after prom and going out and doing your thing, and then talking about, oh man, I got so shit-faced last night, it was so cool. Yeah, no. All right? Because you're not gonna remember the rest of your night. Let me ask you a question. Is it more important to have a really good time, enjoy yourself, have the stories to be told, or is it you wake up the next morning and your friends are like, man, you have no idea what you did last night? Which one do you want to remember as you get older? Which one do you want to tell your kids, your grandkids? Which ones do you want to share when you become teachers yourselves and you're sitting in a classroom with the people that you love? And what stories do you want to tell them? Tell them the stories that you enjoy. Tell them the stories and moments that are best for you. And your prom, you're all decked out. You're looking all good. Got yourself all put together. The fellas got it going on with their suits and stuff. The girls got it all happening. These ladies are strutting their stuff. Do you want to look sloppy? Is that really what you want to be? Sloppy? So when you are out tonight, please, Ubers, no drugs. No drugs. You don't realize, no drugs. Xanax and alcohol don't mix. Have a good time, take care of each other. If you see your friend is getting in a compromising situation, pull him aside. Be like, yo, let's take a walk for a second. But I know all of you in this room, and I know you all make really good choices. But I also know you're teenagers, and if you knew yourselves when you were freshmen, like I know some of you when you were freshmen, whew, you were a hot mess. And now, you're all put together. The switch went off, maturity level happens, and you're going to make good choices in your lives. So, I wish you guys an amazing evening of memories, of stories to be told, of all the things that you wanted to be. And I wish you well, have a good time, but I have to pitch, hold on. I have to pitch Project Graduation. I promised them I would. Project Graduation is June 17th. June 17th, 7 to 10. You want to have a really good time with your peeps here? You go and have a good time and make it a good time for yourselves. And there's all kinds of stuff. So guys, good luck. Have a great time tonight.
Wait, we still got some time. I got two people that have to talk to you, one of them being Mr. Adam. So
I'm going to make this quick, guys. But what you see this morning is the sad reality of impaired and distracted driving. The risks are real. Since I've graduated, which was many years ago, high school, I've sadly lost a lot of classmates to crash fatalities from drug and alcohol use. I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here with you today because I care. All the people who participated today, we all care. We care about you. We care about our community. We want all of you to be safe. Please be responsible tonight. I want you to have a great time at your prom. I want it to be a night that you remember. But I also want you to keep in mind, myself and Detective Burns, we are going to be there tonight. Be responsible. Reminder, if anyone comes to the prom and we smell an odor of alcohol or we think you're impaired, you will be escorted out. Your night will be over. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, we want you to have a great time. We want you to enjoy yourself. We want you to have this great night with all of your friends. Because after graduation, unfortunately, the sad truth is you're not going to see each other so much anymore. You're going to have your... So I want you to enjoy your senior prom, and congratulations on your upcoming graduation. I want to thank you for all your attention today. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Adam.
All right, here's what I need you guys to do. I will be brief, even though you just booed me a minute ago. It's okay. I'll be brief anyway. What we need to do is give a huge round of applause to Dr. Williams and Officer Gerard for today. Well, you don't realize, yes, we may do this every year. We change it up every year. There are a lot of adults involved. They start planning for this for you in December. It takes a long time. There's a lot of people involved. Mr. Duff is here, our judge. Officer Burns, Officer Dunn, who's in the back, who's still with us, been here all day. He's been helping us. Give these guys a big round of applause, please. Yeah, all the agencies that are here with us in Lawrence, everybody's here. Guys, because we do care about you. I've known many of you guys since you're 9 years old. And when I want to see you next year in college or in military, wherever life takes you, come back and say what a great experience I had moving forward. It's all about moving forward. But we're not going to go forward until I share one thing with you. This will be with me tonight. I will carry this around. I show it every year to this assembly. This is a breathalyzer test. I will have this on me. If at any time anyone we fear is under the influence, we have the right to use this. As Officer Gerard said, her and Officer Burns will be with us tonight. It'd be a shame that you don't even make it into the doors of prom because of the choices that we talked about here today. That's all I'm going to say. I know you're all going to have a great time tonight. You're all going to have a wonderful experience. I will tell you, from Ms. Resende, who's put a lot of time and energy getting ready tonight, let's give Ms. Resende a huge round of applause for getting us ready. And as people who work in schools, this is one of the greatest nights for our seniors. It's a culminating event coming all together. I will tell you, the reason we do stuff like this today for you, because we hate the time you leave at 10 o'clock, because we don't know what's going to happen after that. You're out of our hands. You're making your own choices. You're on your own. We're not there to support you and hold your hand and help out and do whatever. We're trying to give you the tools now, so when you leave us at 10 o'clock, we'll see you next week at graduation.